around a month, he goes MIA and he calls me, says, Justin, I got to talk to you. And he's like, I haven't been fully honest. And he basically calls me and he confesses that he blew up 300K in a week. I knew it was going to be hard. I didn't know it was going to be that hard. Money has nothing to do with actually trading. Having a system and defining some sort of risk and actually repeating that system is what is going to make you that money.
It's the one-liner so far of your episode here. I take some notes as we're talking. Don't start trading, bro.
A little skeptical. I was like, why is this guy yelling? What is this schizo saying right now? But I found so much enjoyment listening to it, dude. I love him when he starts screaming and ranting. It's hilarious.
Yeah. What's up, traders? Welcome back to the Day Trading Show. My name is Austin Silver. I'm your host, and I really appreciate you being here. I've got a fun one today. If you can't tell, I'm buzzing after talking to Justin. Justin's a great guy. A really interesting story about how he got into trading. He just is coming off of one of his biggest trades of his life, his biggest trade of this year. So we talk about that in the beginning, but we also talk about how he got into ICT, what he likes about ICT, what he doesn't like about it. We talk about why he went from options to futures. We cover a lot, and I tried to keep the conversation moving, even though there was a couple of points with this where I could have really dove deep. So I think you'll hear at the end, me and Justin already have plans to do a part 2. So this is a really, really good one. I think you guys are going to love it. So I'll shut up. I'll let this episode get started. Just again, thank you to our sponsors for making this happen. And everybody, make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're listening or watching, so you don't miss any of our future episodes. We're doing Forex guys, futures guys, day traders that are professionals with a track record that are verified as real traders. That's who we're talking to here on this show. So if you like that, make sure you're subscribed. Now, enjoy my conversation with Justin Werlein. What's up, guys? Before we keep going, a quick sponsorship shout out to TradeZella. They've been a sponsor for months now, and instead of just offering one discount code on your monthly membership, they've decided to kick the door down and offer you a 20% discount if you sign up for the year. So use the link down in the description. The code is ASFX20. That's going to save you 20% on your yearly membership, and that's going to give you everything you need so you can actually start making money this year. If you want 2024 into 2025 to be your most profitable year ever, you're going to have to track your trades. You're going to have to track your good ones and your bad ones, and you're going to want to learn from those bad ones by studying the data behind them. What days are you making the most money? What times of day are you making the most money? What assets are you trading best on? What are you doing with your winners? Are you holding them long enough? What about your losers? All of that is answered for you with TradeZella. So use the link and the codes down in the description. Thank you to TradeZella. Appreciate y'all. Love you, Umar. Now let's get back to the episode. What's up, traders? Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I've got a very special guest in the building. The trader, probably one of the most well-known traders from Idaho right now, at least. Right, Justin?
I would say probably the only one.
Other than like the old retired people that you were just talking about that are hanging out with their kids,
the
right?
old hedge funds people.
But dude, it's good to have you on the show. A lot of my audience is going to know who you are, Justin, from Top Step and from seeing your content online. But I'm honored to have you here, bro. Coming off that hot trade last week, you and I are connected through a lot of similar people. We were just talking about Casper, Jesse. Yeah. So it's good to sit with somebody who is of similar mind and who's getting after it. So I know you're moving. I know you're trading with Top Step. I know you're hitting big trades. We've got a lot to talk about today. But before we get into all of that, let's just rewind. I got a good one to start us off. You ready for this question?
Yeah.
I want to hear, what was the 13-year-old Justin like? I know you're not far from 13 now, but I want to hear about the young Justin. Were you a hustler? Were you a bad kid? What kind of kid were you?
So 13, I was probably middle school, I think. So I was big gamer. Grew up like before I actually started trading, I played professional like for Fortnite. Used to play Call of Duty, like used to go for like phase RCs, trick shotting, BO2, like MW2, all that kind of stuff. Like I was just a grinder. And then Fortnite came out, was just an absolute degenerate Fortnite player. But like I had earnings. So like I was flown out to DreamHack Anaheim. I played in competitive tournaments. So yeah, I made like 20 grand in earnings from Fortnite. So
dude, that is
just
crazy.
Always been competitive with everything.
At 13, 20 grand from gaming.
No, that was like 13 to 16 years old.
Still, bro.
That was later on, yeah.
You want to hear something crazy? I just interviewed the CEO of DarwinX. They're like a platform where you can become a Darwin and then people can invest in you and you can trade. Yeah. They say that their top trader is this guy that was the #1 World of Warcraft trader. So what do you think trading and gaming have in common? Like, why are you good at trading and why were you good at gaming?
Question. Yeah. I think a big part of it is every game that I've played, whether it was like a competitive like 5v5 kind of shooter like Counter-Strike, was big into Counter-Strike, have like 4,000 hours on Counter-Strike.
Wow.
I think a big part of it is seeing you improve is the satisfaction you get from it. Like once you start it, you start seeing other people doing well and you're like, "Oh, I want to do this really well." And then you consistently get better, whether it be your aim or your game sense or working with, a teammate, but in trading it's, working with yourself, understanding, having a specific strategy, are we, with Counter-Strike, you have smoke lineups, what sites, A takes, B takes, stuff like that, what you do on defense. So there's kind of a strategy for every kind of situation. It's the same thing with trading. And over time, you are consistently learning these things from experience and getting better and better and better. And it's overall just a competitive aspect to it.
Do you see trading as a form of a game?
I did, but at the same time, I think it hurt me in the beginning
Why?
because so I think at the start it was a good thing to think of trading as a video game because it kind of is, it's the same thing. You're sitting down at your desk, you're at your monitor, you're looking at stuff, you're making decisions, and it becomes super fun. I think a lot of traders, especially me, when they first start trading, is it becomes extremely addictive. Like all of the traders that I've met that are doing well, like everybody's gone through like that first 1 year, 6 months to a year period where that's all they do. Like even on the weekends, every fucking second of the day, as much time as they can get on the charts, they're looking at the charts. But what I think is bad about that is as well is you start treating it more as I'm doing this for fun instead of I need to like this is a business and I'm making money. So it started to become like I'm hopping on Fortnite with my friends instead of I need to be fucking dialed in right now, like not making any mistakes. Because I would just, hop on and be like, oh, let me take some trades, blah, 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 blah. Not journaling, not really caring what I'm doing, but I'm just doing it because I'm getting enjoyment out of it, right? I wasn't actually improving. So I think there's a trade-off to that as well. Like the concept of actually thinking of it as a video game and improving and leveling up in yourself, but also thinking of it as this isn't, the same equality as a video game. This is more important. It needs more focus. It needs more time.
That's very well said. I hope everybody's listening to that because I actually think a lot of our audience can relate because a lot of us, I mean,
Yeah.
if you were born basically, I'm going to say 1990 forward, you played a lot of video games growing up,
Oh yeah.
most
Oh yeah.
likely. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of people can relate to that, especially the part about if you don't take it more serious than a video game, because there are
Yeah.
similarities, like you said, but if you don't take it more, you end up just trading to trade. You're just playing to
Exactly.
play, and that's not
Exactly.
going to really make you money. Speaking of which, before we keep going in your backstory, you're coming into this podcast today off one of your biggest trades of the year. So I
Mhm.
want to kind of touch on that because it was a swing trade that you kind of forgot about. And it
Yeah.
seems like that's probably the byproduct of playing the game a lot and not the forgetting about it
Absolutely.
part, but just being able to be comfortable taking a swing trade as a day trader. You've been in the game a lot. So talk to us
Absolutely.
about this big trade. What was it on? I know it was a futures trade. Tell us
Yeah.
about this trade.
So it was a NAS trade, and normally I don't really swing at all. I'd say this is my first swing trade of the entire year. Um, I'll explain it basically without going into the charts too much, but basically I was expecting price to rebalance. We've been selling off last, couple weeks pretty heavy. A
Yep.
lot of the time I'm expecting price to rebalance to the daily imbalance that we had on NAS. On I don't remember what day it was, but we got a lot of displacement back to the upside. We pulled back to a breaker. I was looking for a swing entry because I was expecting price to most likely rebalance. Entered in 4 contracts. I think my risk was like 4,000, 4,000, 5,000. I entered intraday. I was like, set my stops. Didn't look at it because I was in Miami. I was networking with people, just hanging out. Didn't own the first trade I took that week too. Um, End of the day, bell closes, right? I wasn't looking at really end of day because I was already planning to, swing it for a day. I wasn't expecting my, price target to be like 300 points out, like get hit that same day. Um, I check my phone. We're on the beach, and I literally go, "Holy shit!" And my friend next to me, she like freaks out. She's like, "What?" And I didn't know there was earnings aftermarket. And we pumped like five again. And again, that was probably not the greatest decision. Now, I do believe that news is already going to push to the existing draw. That's something we can talk about later though. But I should have been at least aware of it. But yeah, we pumped a lot in the aftermarket. I took off half the position, and then yesterday I took off the last 2 contracts of it. So it was a $32,000 trade.
Amazing, bro. Congrats. Honestly, that's a huge win. And it's probably something you feel like is a culmination of a lot of years of learning, getting
Yeah.
1% better every day, kind of the stuff you've already mentioned. When everybody that you were with saw that you were up 30 grand on the trade, are they like, all right, Mr. Werlein, you're paying for dinner, brother.
Oh yeah.
Pull out
No,
the
no, no.
credit card.
Me, Jesse, and Casper were at mini golf. and we were betting that we were going to Carbone that night. And I was basically in first place the entire time we were at mini golf. And I literally just threw like I tossed so hard. And me and Jesse were on the last hole, and it was like whoever gets this is paying for dinner. And I just choked so hard, and I just didn't get the
Oh,
Carbone bill.
that's okay. At least it's worth it, bro. Good
Yeah,
company, good dinner, and a nice trade.
exactly.
It's
And a
worth it.
write-off.
And a write-off. You take the write-off. So before we get, I want to touch on, I can tell you're an ICT guy. So we want to
Mhm.
touch on your introduction to that.
Yeah.
I know you've talked about it in some of your YouTube videos, but before we get into that, a little bit more on your backstory. What was the transition from gaming to trading? Like, what did that
Yeah.
period of your life look like? Hey traders, it's Austin from the future. Really quick, before we continue with the video, I just want to say something that you're probably all thinking. Trading courses are not the best way to learn how to trade. I totally agree with that. That's why we decided about a year and a half ago to unleash on the trading industry, something that most people don't normally do. We started our own in-house live trading rooms, our in-house live streaming platform. It's called ASFX TV. There's a link for a 7-day free trial down in the description to this video. It's probably flying in above my head too. We want you to come see the information that we talk about in our YouTube videos, in our courses. I want to show you that in the live market. Because again, it's one thing to just watch a video course and then say, oh, good luck, you're on your own now. It's another thing to actually bring people in, show them those strategies in a video course, and then show them how it's applied in the live market. Now, with ASFX TV, you don't have to be there live. Everything is recorded and stored for you if you're working or you're busy and you miss something. But we also have a live chat feature, so if you can be there live, you can ask questions. You can interact with our streamers. All of our streamers are vetted. All of them have proven track records. All of them have been funded, been paid out, the whole 9 yards. So you're really going to be learning from people who have more experience than you, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing when you're learning how to trade. It's that you get around people with more experience than you. So it's a 7-day free trial, then it's $10 a month. You really can't afford to pass on this. So if you are not subscribed to ASFX TV, use the link down below. Now let's get back to the video.
Yeah, so I started trading freshman in high school. Had a small group of friends. At that point, I think Fortnite actually like just came out, or it was like kind of first 2 years or whatever.
And you wanted to be
Picked
the
up
next ninja.
No, Ninja was any person that like actually or played Fortnite knows that Ninja was terrible.
See, there you go. That's how much you know I know, right?
But I started trading. I'm not even really sure how. I think actually one of the first people that I watched was Steven Ducks, if you know who that is. He's a
Yeah, of
penny stock
course,
trader.
dude.
Yeah.
Of
Like one
course.
of the OGs, but like that's when
Yeah.
I first so before I traded anything, I originally got into penny stocks. Soon found out I was like, really can't trade pennies because at the time there was no like prop firms. You needed a lot of capital to be able to trade pennies and actually see a return. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this isn't going to work. And then probably I think 3 months later is when I found options. Started trading options, traded options for around a year and a half. Had some success with it, but overall was negative. And I think the biggest reason and problem that I had with options is the community and kind of trading, specifically at that time, and I think a lot of it too now, is I was joining communities, and the biggest problem was, and what I don't like about the trading community, especially with options, is you're constantly, being shown 1,000% returns, 500%. Look, let's go. We just made this so much money on a Tesla earnings call. And that's perceived as like normal. Like that is normal. That is, something that's okay that you should be, trying to strive for. And so I would join, these communities and it would be, oh, buy, 365 SPY calls, 0 DTEs, not a reason and why they're taking a trade, no risk. It's just, hey, I'm taking this. There's no reason for actually doing it. And so many traders early on, especially myself, get sucked into like just building all of these bad habits. And it took me a long while to realize that that's not how you should trade. And I think a lot of people get sucked into that early on, and then that's why they fail. But to be honest, like people end up funneling all these bad habits because they think it's normal. So another problem I had with options as well is at the time I wasn't trading, like I would make max 1 week out. Like I was pretty much trading 0 DTEs, whatever the closest expiration was. And
Yeah.
at that point in time, I was pretty much only trading SPY, QQQ, Apple, Tesla, probably. And the hardest part of it was managing risk because you have to also keep into account, the Greeks, there's time decay, there's delta, and there's other things that have implications to whatever the premium contract is. So I would enter a position and I would, let's say I'm in a call position, I think SPY is going up or whatever my bias was. and I would enter in, and like 15 minutes, 30 minutes would go by, and the bias itself, the trade itself is never invalidated, but yet I'm down, 10 to 20% on my contract. So what I realized, okay, I'm trading the premium of the contract, but when in reality, the actual implementation of why I have a bias has nothing to do with my return and whatever this is. And it's stupid. Like there's no reason I should be having to risk whatever this is focused on the actual chart, which is, why I have my bias in the first place. So that's why I realized, okay, options, I can't really do this because it's so hard to manage risk. There's so many people where it's like, oh, 20% stop loss on your options premium contract. That makes zero sense to me. Having a stop loss on your percentage of your contract makes zero sense because you can be in a setup on a trade and the actual setup itself on the chart is never invalidated. But the contract could go to 20%. You get stopped out and go right back in your favor because you're trading the contract premium and not the actual chart itself. So
Right.
that's when I kind of had the problem with options. And then that's when I later switched to futures.
Never Forex.
Never Forex. I have a
Why?
lot of friends that are trying to get me into Forex. I think it's because I already traded SPY and QQQ. I had a lot of experience already trading it, and it was
Right.
easier just to switch to futures. Yeah.
The guys that trade options, especially zero DTE, I think the options has a lot of upside, right? Like you see guys that make a killing. But you're right. When I've seen guys trade options as well, the risk is very
Yeah.
unclear because I think a lot of people actually have no idea. That's my
Oh,
guess. Because like
absolutely.
how many
Absolutely.
people in the options community could you actually go to and be like, hey man, could you sit down with me for an hour or two and just explain the Greeks to me? So like
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
me a few nobody, like very few
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah.
I always think of Lucci, like saying Lucci's one of the best options traders that
Mhm.
I think of. There's just not a lot of really good ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that try, especially during bull markets, to just
Mhm.
buy calls and
Exactly.
exploit that volatility. But then when we go
Exactly.
through what we've seen in the last month, end of March into
They get
beginning of
crushed.
May, they get crushed. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay. So when you started with futures, did you go right into a top step kind of environment or were you trading your own account?
No, I was trading my own account. So I didn't start trading. I didn't start ever like even doing props, and I still don't trade props. I want to. I was talking to Jesse about it, like trying to do like a 20 account Apex, copy trade. I've never really copy traded. I've only when I have done prop firms, I've only done one account.
Okay.
But I've pretty much always traded on a live account. So initially, when I started futures, I opened a TradeOvate account, like $1,000, traded micros, blew it up. Another account, like $2,000, blew it up. And that's just kind of was getting used to the feel of it, like getting used to tick basis, understanding like personal risk. But
Mhm.
after my first month, I was like, okay, futures are exactly where I need to be because all the problems that I had initially, I mean, even though I wasn't finding success like super early on when I started trading or into futures, I still realized all of the factors that were keeping me behind in options were now off the table and I could easily manage them. So that's
Mainly
when
the
I started.
Greeks. There's
Yeah,
no
exactly.
Greeks in
Mainly, yeah,
futures. Yeah.
mainly the Greeks, and I can hold it all day
Yep.
depending on whatever the price. I don't have to worry about time decay or whatever that all the Greek stuff like that.
So you
It
loved
was
it.
just it was more efficient. Absolutely, yeah,
And when you started this, how where are we at in age and like what are you doing for work right now to fund these accounts? I'm
yeah.
just curious at
So
this point.
at the time, I was a junior. No, I was a sophomore in high school or a junior in high school. I was working two jobs. I was working as a pizza delivery guy, and then sometimes I was like in the kitchen making some salads,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
I was a busser at another restaurant. So I was working two jobs at the same time and in school. So
I'll one up you, bro. I was pizza delivery guy when they would let me. Otherwise, I was in the back washing dishes. So I was
oh
the same as you.
shit.
In
Okay.
high school, junior, sophomore year,
Yep.
even freshman year, I started working in the summer. I was always working. I didn't start
Yeah.
trading when I was in high school. I started when I was in college, but I can relate
Okay.
to the story that I've heard you tell too about like being
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
guy in class looking at charts, not listening to the
Exactly.
professor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had this guy, bro, teaching a marketing class. He had to have been 70 years old. And no disrespect to the 70-year-olds, but how can somebody that old just reading a textbook have the balls really to say that they could be a teacher? And I felt like I was
Yeah. Yeah.
spending my time better to just study the charts and learn.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though I wasn't making any money, I was really committed to the process of learning.
Yeah.
So what about trading? Was it the gaming background of like, hey, I sucked at Fortnite when I started, but I got really fucking good? Was that something that maybe motivated you? Because I'm sure you were not great at trading from the beginning, especially as you
Mhm.
transitioned from different market to different market. So what really kept you motivated? Was it the fact that maybe you didn't have a lot of bills as overhead because you were still young? Like what kept you going? What about trading really satisfied you?
Great question. So the number one biggest factor of why I kept going is because I had a problem in my life like early on, or not a problem, but like an internal problem that I was dealing with. And I've always been like a jack of all trades. Like my background's in design, but I did freelance design before I started trading. I was played semi-pro gaming, video editing. You know, I loved film. I loved, you know, making music as well. I love cooking. I love culinary. Like I just would dive into so many different things, but I was never great at one thing.
Hmm.
And it would always get to a point where I would like learn it, spend like 6 months on it, and then like get to where I wanted, and then like I drop it and then find something else. Um, so when I found trading, I was like, okay, I don't want to be good. I want to be fucking fantastic. Like I want to be the best I can possibly be at this, because everything previously in my life was like I was good. I wasn't great. And I wanted to be great. So like right when I started, first 6 months in after, you know, blowing up 3 accounts, I was like, fuck you. I'm gonna make this shit happen. And I never stopped. But I think that was a really big factor of it is I wanted to be great at something.
All right, boys. I'm finally excited to share this information. The free futures course that I've been working on the last few months is finally ready for you. There's a link in the description to grab this course. Again, it is totally free. All I ask is that you leave me a review. I can see everybody that takes the free course. If you don't leave me a review, I'm gonna come kicking your door down and asking you for that review. Because in my opinion, and this is what I'm hearing from other people, you're gonna watch this and you're gonna say, why is he giving this information out for free? Well, I'm giving you the strategy that has helped me and other traders in our group get funded and get paid out as futures traders, because I don't believe strategy is the only component to getting paid out. It is an important factor in your overall success, but it is not the only factor. And I think that out of all the factors that lead into successful trading, strategy should be the one that you almost would say is the most simple. So I want to give you a simple strategy that's proven to work not just for me, but for other traders. And then I want to help you push yourself to get funded and get paid out. And that's what we're going to do with this free course. So check it out. There's a link down there. Just make sure if you watch it, you leave me a review, because I'll come asking you for it if you don't. I really appreciate all the feedback, all the attention you guys always give me. I'm just here to help you guys make more money as much as I can. So enjoy the course, and now enjoy the rest of the video.
Do you think it was the fact too that other things that you tried to do came fairly easy and this one didn't at first and you had to overcome some, you think like that motivated you a little bit? Yeah,
For sure.
I can tell.
I mean, I knew it was going to be hard. I didn't know it was going to be that hard. I mean, it's to the point where I think a lot of traders can test this too. It's like, it's so hard that people, when I was in high school, like when I was in college too, and still people now, they're like, teach me how to trade. I'm like, no, like you should not trade. Like, listen to me right now. You should not trade, because I know what it took me to get here. And I know that the people that are coming to ask me are not willing to do that. So I'm saying
100%.
it's just not even worth it. Don't start trading, because if you're not willing to put 110% in for at least a couple years, you're not going to be successful. I'm sorry to say.
It's the one-liner so far of your episode here. I take some notes as we're talking. Don't start trading, bro. I mean, what's funny about it? It's like you're not wrong at all.
Yeah.
And anyone
Yeah.
that has been trading knows that you're not wrong. So with
Yeah.
I know you have a mentorship. I have a mentorship. Do you have 100% success rate with your students? Are they all funded, quit their jobs, buying
Oh, no.
islands? No, of course
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Same thing with me. It's
Exactly.
impossible. So you'll have people that
you can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink at the same time.
yeah.
It's like it all really comes down to, like we talked about earlier, it's like your own personal drive. Like, what is it that is pushing you to go forward, right? And for everybody, it's different. It could be, you know, helping your family, you know, retiring your parents, or, you know, just proving someone wrong, proving yourself wrong, whatever it is. If you
Yeah.
don't have that, and you also, I think a big part of it too is, you know, how you were raised. Like, I think people like that grew up playing like competitive sports easily are like another factor of successful traders. Or I feel like there's little implementations of just how somebody grew up that is going to make them more, you know, accessible or easier environment to be able to trade.
100%.
But it all comes down to what is, you know, really pushing you as an individual.
What do you think is the main reason people fail at trading, other than the fact that it's just not for everyone? Could you get more specific with
Yeah,
that of why you think they
they
fail?
want to make money. They want to make money. It
Is
is the biggest, and I preach this all the time. It's in my mentorship too. It's like every single, I came to this realization probably like a year and a half ago, and this is probably like the number one thing that I think is the biggest problem. That if you are not, if anybody that's listening to this and you are not already a profitable trader, I'm telling you right now, this is probably 99% of your problem is you are more focused on making money than actually improving as a trader. And that is the thing that's holding you back. If you can take any problem that you have, any single problem, and you go back to the source of that problem, let's say, okay, I have FOMO. Okay, why do I have FOMO? All right, well, you know, the market ended up going up. You know, I missed my entry. I ended up entering late because I was afraid of catching the move. Okay, so you're afraid of not making that money. Okay, source, you want to make money. Oh, well, I came into the market, you know, I ended up breaking my rules. I over leveraged, you know, I didn't follow my stop loss. Okay, why'd you over leverage? Because you're focused on making more money. Every single problem you have goes back to the source of focusing on making money. When you completely disconnect yourself from money and it simply just becomes a repetitive system, there is no sort of correlation between, again, in reality, money has nothing to do with actually trading. Money has nothing to do with actually trading. Having a system and defining some sort of risk and actually repeating that system is what is going to make you that money. You need to completely rewire your brain to be process oriented instead of outcome oriented, because so many people come into the market, me as well, and you're advertised early on of, oh, I'm Lamborghinis, Rolexes, you know, financial freedom, fucking hot women, whatever, dumb shit like that. And you're like, oh, I want it. And that is all in your head 24/7. You're sitting at the monitor and you're thinking about, oh, I'm so excited to send this P&L screenshot to my best friend after I take this trade. And then you start taking a bunch of random fucking trades because you're focused on sending your P&L to your goddamn friend, and you end up blowing up. Like, every single problem you have comes back to you being focused on making money. And the biggest switch, whenever people's like, Justin, what was your aha moment that made you successful? My aha moment was when I started to learn to get satisfaction out of building good habits and not making money. Every time that I came into the market, I gained satisfaction out of doing what I should be doing, which is coming into the market, following my rules, following my bias, not over leveraging, only taking quality setups. Whether I won or lost, it didn't matter. I was satisfied. If I came into the market and I won $10,000, but I broke all my rules, I'm going to say, Justin, why are you celebrating? You did nothing right. This money is not yours because you don't have the habits in place to actually keep it. The market will take it right back. So that money you just made is not yours. People think that making money means you're doing something right and losing money means you're doing something wrong. It is not correct at all. It all comes down to the habits that you're building, and you have to reprogram your brain to be process oriented and get satisfaction out of building good habits, not making money.
Very well said. Got some good nuggets, good one-liners in that. But now I'm not going to let you off the hook with just one easy answer.
Okay.
So we're talking about reprogramming your mind to be more process driven, less outcome driven. That is the hardest thing to do, like you said. I totally agree, because we all got into this to make money. So now you want me to come here and not care about the money, bro?
Exactly. I know.
Minus maybe some mushroom trips, what other ways do you help coach people? Do you suggest to people to reprogram their mind? And I'm half serious about the mushroom trips, everybody.
Yeah. I think a big part of it is, I think, to be honest, a lot of people that have been trading for at least like a year, 2 years, 6 months, or whatever it is, it all comes down to whatever your first initial introduction to trading was, because that's all you know. So if you came into trading and you were initially taught, like, again, like we said, 1,000% options returns, all this, and this is normalized, this is the only idea of trading you have in your mind. My goal is for you to come in and say, okay, this is we have to first isolate whatever the problem is. What is your idea of what successful trading looks like, right? If you think, oh, 1,000% option return, no, all right, let's scratch that off. We're getting you back to square one, right? So I think a big part of it is recognizing and showing that what does it actually look like to be a successful trader and actually a good trader? What does that look like? Okay, what does that person look like? And then we start to work our way backwards. So we say, okay, what is the foundation in which we need to build here, right? So for me, it's always what I say is building every single day you come into the market, you should be focused on building good habits, not being focused on making money. Like we said, how do you do that? You have to paper trade for at least 3 months. Like, people, you want it now. So many traders want it now. They want to be satisfied right now. Like, again, trading is like going to college. You pay your tuition 4 years, then you get a degree, and then you get paid. But you're fucking trading for 1 year and expect to make money? Like, it makes no sense. You have to put in the work, you have to gain the experience, and you can't be focused on making money. So the biggest thing I recommend is to make you not focused on making money. You shouldn't even have the opportunity to even make money if you do well. You are paper trading for 3 months just so it is completely out of your mind. It's just like riding a bicycle. You need to be doing it every single day over and over again until it's riding a bike. It's nothing special. It's nothing new. It is the same thing over and over and over and over again. And you become so disconnected with what you're doing, and it's a repetitive system. And the habits you're building in that repetitive system is what's keeping you safe, because trading is more about keeping that money than making that money. And if you don't have the habits in place to keep it, then making money doesn't really mean anything. So it all comes down to having 3 months or 6 months of just paper trading, repeating systems every single day, journaling every single day, writing down, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Again, making money doesn't mean I'm doing something right. Losing money doesn't mean I'm doing something wrong. Are the habits that you are doing right? Don't focus on, are you winning trades? Are you losing trades? Focus on, more importantly, the habits you're building. And then you can start looking at the actual setups itself, the systems, and the actual, strategy.
So then do you feel like it's best for traders that are new to not quit their job and go all in on trading?
Oh, never, 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 never,
And
never.
especially
And
now seeing the way that you trade, isn't
yeah.
it even more clear to you that you can make the money you want to make without being married to sitting here at the desk all day, every day?
Oh, I think a lot of traders can say, like, the more I trade, the less, like, the more I am in my journey, the less I trade. Like, I only trade probably like an hour and a half, 2 hours in the morning, if that. Like, I haven't taken a single trade this entire week yet. It's Tuesday. Like, it's
Yeah.
only 2 days, but I haven't really
But
been
it's
looking
also
at
a
the
Fed
market.
week and like that they're
Exactly.
slower
And I
this
know
week.
what I'm looking
But
for. Exactly.
exactly. So you pick your spots, which is something
Mhm.
else where if you want to tie it in for the new guys, not only do you not want to quit your job and go all in because that creates more financial stress. So you'll need the money
Yep.
from trading even more. You want to really dial in these process driven, almost like they're wires in your brain. And you want the process driven wires to be thicker and more long, like have a longer life, more robust than those outcome driven money chasing wires. Because we
Absolutely.
all have them. You have to
Yeah.
embrace it, right?
Of
So
course.
how do you see emotions in trading? Like for someone like yourself, you don't seem to be an overly emotional guy, even though you're creative. And I was
Mhm.
going to say this to you before, but like even looking at your room and like the videos you've made and stuff on
Mhm.
social, like I could have guessed that you would have been into cooking and other things like that, like creative
Yeah.
outlets. So how do you, as a more creative person, handle emotions in trading? Do you use them as triggers? Do you ignore
Yeah.
them? Because that's where the divide is. People say
Yeah.
block them out, or some people say listen to them. How do you see that?
I think listening to them is way more important than blocking them out,
I agree.
because you can only block out for so long. When you consistently push something down, it doesn't go away. Like,
Right.
it's still in there, whether you
Yeah.
want it to or not. So when I go about emotions is normally, like, again, everyone's human. I'll still get emotional sometimes, but it's not the importance is not of, are you emotional? Everybody's emotional. The importance is, what are you doing when you find yourself emotional? That is the
Right.
most important thing. Are you continuing to sit there on the market and take fucking dumb trades? Or are you saying, hey, I'm not in the right mental space to be doing this. I'm going to walk away and I'm going to come back tomorrow. Like,
Right.
that is what is important, because you will always end up being emotional. Now, it happens the more you trade, it's more of a rarity, but it'll still happen, right? You'll get flustered here and there, you'll lose. It's not about it's not about not doing that. It's not about not being emotional. It's about what you're doing when you are emotional.
Love that. And I would even add, it's not letting the emotions drive the decisions, which is basically the same
Exactly.
thing you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, like as a new trader, I'm sure you can relate to this, bro. Some of the guys I probably have the similar issues with my guys that you have with your guys in the
Yeah.
mentorship. Like they just won't stop trading. Oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to take this many trades per day. Well, they end up at double or triple that, and they
Yeah.
trade like a spaz. Have you ever had to coach somebody through that, or have you ever had to work through that yourself? And what advice would you give to a trader that is unable to control themselves? And don't just
Always.
cop out on this one and say quit, because I know that's what you
No.
want to say.
No, 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 no. I mean, I had a big problem with this. I had a big problem with this. I mean, I was so bad that it was to the point where I wouldn't step away until I was either back to break even on the day or my account was fucking
Which is
gone.
probably a little bit of the
Like,
gamer in you, bro. Of just like,
yeah.
just keep going. Just give me one more.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, like, one more, I don't wanna accept defeat, and that's
Yep.
when the ego problem is when we can talk about is being a trader. There is no right or wrong. Like, you can't have any sort of pride in what you do. You are simply an observer. Like, you are simply a being that is watching and making decisions. You have no personality. You have no, ideas or, any sort of contemplation of what you're thinking of as yourself. You are simply a decision maker. So when ego starts to take over, and you don't want to be wrong, you don't want to admit your faults, you never end up improving, because you'll end up making the same mistakes over and over again. You'll swipe them under the rug because you don't want to admit that you're wrong, admit your faults. When in reality, again, all of the best traders, I never stop learning. I'm always going to be a student no matter where I am in my life. And that's a part of wanting to improve. That's a part of wanting to grow as a trader, wanting to grow as a person. And you have to be able to push the ego to the side when those problems do arise.
It's very well said. What right now in your trading, before we get into the technical stuff, because I do want to talk about how you see a chart and how you like to
Yeah.
operate, what you like to trade stuff. What would you say you're struggling with right now in the journey? I mean, you've now, how many years are we at overall since you placed that
Almost
first
5
trade?
years.
That's what I was going to say. So it's been a good amount of time. What are you struggling with right now? I think the audience would appreciate
Great
hearing it.
question. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the biggest, so I'm currently in a scale period. So I've been scaling up my size recently. I just posted a video on scaling and kind of my thought process on when if you want to do big boy numbers, basically is what I'm saying. So um 2 years or last year or 2 years ago, 2020, 2022 now. I used to trade more size than what I do now because 2022
Really?
I had a $320,000 year and I was trading around. So now I'm getting back to that size. I had great story actually. We'll get into this. So had a really big year, was trading around 6, 8 contracts, sometimes 10 contracts max size. And at the end of that year, I had a buddy who I was trading with as well. I won't say his name, but in around a week, he comes to me a month. So pretty much he goes MIA for a month. And that same year, he did around $300,000 with me as well. And him around a month, he goes MIA and he calls me, says, Justin, I got to talk to you. And he's like, I haven't been fully honest. And he basically calls me and he confesses that he blew up 300K in a week. All of his that yearly P&L that he had was gone in a week. And
Good.
I'm the kind of person that I believe everything is meant to be. Every experience that I have is something, a lesson to be learned. And it made me reflect on myself and it kind of scared the shit out of me. I was like, the fact that that can even happen is crazy. And I was like, I need to make sure that this never happens because I fully believe like that experience of that happening and him telling me that was for me to learn. And I realized that again, trading doesn't mean anything unless you have the habits in place to keep it. Like it does not matter if you made $300,000 in a year because you can lose it all in a week if you don't have the habits. So I took all of 2023 last year and I completely lowered my size, was trading maybe a quarter because I was to the point in my trading where I was doing very well, but my ego was starting to get the hold of me. And I was like, $1 million year, here we go. And I was like, Justin, this year, after seeing this happen, I am dedicating this entire year to building habits because I don't want this to ever happen to me. And I'm to the point
Yeah.
where,
You
again,
dedicated to not blowing up, to not being
exactly.
that guy.
Yeah. And I know this year is going to make me so much more money in the long run
Oh my
because of
God.
what
Yeah.
I'm building here. And I think not a lot of people realize that. And not a lot of people have like the actual drive. I don't even know what the word is. The actual they
Discipline,
can't do that. Yeah, the discipline to
commitment,
actually take a year,
dedication,
yeah, exactly. A full year to just
long-term vision.
not be
They can't even
focused.
think that far.
It's the biggest thing. It's a longevity mindset. And I plan to be in, for at least 10 years. So, and I want to get to that point where I'm making, $1 million months or whatever it is. And to get to that level of numbers, the mind in which you possess yourself has to be so stable and you have to have a level of self accountability and self recognition that a lot of people don't even realize you can have as a person.
For
Like
real.
I have grown so much as a person just from trading and learning about myself
Me
and
too.
learning about decision making, and it's an absolute blessing. And that's
Well,
why,
because trading
again,
is a mirror, bro. We like,
absolutely,
if you give back profits, there's something else. You know what I mean? Of course, we want
exactly.
technical solutions, and like you trade ICT, I trade my own way. Like everybody
Hmm.
trades a different way. The end,
Hmm.
I've really seen, bro, over the last year, and that was so well said. I love that story. That I've seen in the last year. Just entry to me is like the last thing that's really important. It's
Yeah,
trade management, it's emotional
yeah.
management, it's self management, right? I actually asked somebody on the podcast before, what do you think the most important characteristic a trader has to have is? And he gave the best answer ever. Maybe you'll beat him and I'll ask you, but he said self regulation. If you can't pay attention to your emotions and regulate yourself, you'll never keep the profits that you make.
Yeah,
You'll always lose more than you gain. And that's exactly
yeah,
what you're talking about here.
yeah.
Do you feel like trading is better described as a defensive game or an offensive game?
Absolutely defensive.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's what it sounds like the way you're
Yeah,
saying it. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. And
Okay.
it's
So
from personal experience after seeing it.
Well, dude, I mean, I have not traded with someone who has. I have a couple of guys, and like I think of James, the guy just he's been with me for 4 years. He's up over 100 grand in his first year with me, and he's made 6 figures every year after that. But I haven't had anybody torch 300 grand in a week, bro. That is not only scarring for him. That's probably it is. It's almost like a traumatic event for you because you witnessed it. You were with him for it, and it's unfortunate. But you know what? When you were saying how he called you and said, "Justin, I'm not being honest, dude." That's like so many people in this business, bro. That's why it's really hard to find like a genuine person because like everyone lies on social media, it feels like, about their trading because their ego is bigger than they realize and they don't want to, you know what? And I think you would maybe agree with me. In school, they tell us if you fail this test, you're an idiot. If you get things wrong, you failed. In trading and in life, even, that is not the right perspective to have. Without trying and failing, you learn nothing, So they almost condition people to not be good traders.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Why?
I fully agree. I was talking to my friend about this earlier. Like it, especially in our society, like just I think a big eye opener was like since I was in Miami the last week, like being surrounded by young people, young entrepreneurs that have the same vision, have the same ambition, aren't tied to, anything. They know that anything is capable. And I feel like after seeing that, I realized how extremely rare that is. There is not a lot of people like you're programmed in life by society to follow a set of already existing path for you. And they tell you to, if you go out of that, it's nothing but terror and fucking chaos. And it's scary to see, like, looking back in school, so many people where it's like, for example, I have a friend. She was extremely smart in school. Like, you just absolutely 4.5 students, straight A's, like Harvard graduate. And you can be extremely smart, but the knowledge that you're being told, you get into a cycle where the satisfaction in what you're doing is no longer satisfying.
100%.
You are just being told to learn something and then fucking throw it back up on a
regurgitate
piece
it.
of
Yeah,
paper.
exactly. Memorize it, regurgitate it.
Yeah, and then
not
say,
really
"Hey,
learning
good
things.
for you." Like, that's great.
Right.
There's no creative process. There's no fulfillment. And then we justify that and we say, like, we praise it. Like, we praise, "Oh, you're a straight A student. Oh, let me get on my fucking knees for you because you decided to look at a piece of paper for an extra hour and a half than I did." Like, why does that matter? And I think a big thing too is it makes me think as well, like, we don't want to grow as a society. Like, if we wanted to actually grow as a society, we would push people down more creative paths. We would want people to get out of their comfort zone. We would want to say,
100%.
"Hey, what is an idea that you have? You know what? Go for it. Go for it." Like, every single thing in the world around us, fucking technology, look at Apple, look at Microsoft, look at fucking New York City, these buildings, has all been from somebody who had an idea. And in a society that wasn't normalized.
Yep.
If we want to improve as a society, we need to push that more.
You have to incentivize entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship is the people like you and me. Traders are entrepreneurs, right? I mean, we have businesses around trading, so we're still taking risk, but we're willing to fail in order to try something new. Like if your examples are spot on. Look at, I mean, skyscrapers didn't exist until someone had the balls to try and build one. I bet you there were people that said, "There's no way skyscrapers will ever work. They'll fall over, Justin. You're crazy for thinking build up. That's crazy." And now like, look at it. So it's like, we, unfortunately, in America, especially, have just disincentivized entrepreneurship. Like, it's better to fall in line than to innovate and try to do something creative on your own, just because. And unfortunately, like I got it from my parents, where like my parents wanted me to go the traditional route. I dropped out of college. I didn't finish. I did 3 years and I stopped. But like they wanted me to go to this traditional route, but I always felt like I wasn't this traditional. It wasn't going to work for me, So I'm blessed, and I'm sure you can relate to that. Like you have that self motivation, that self fire to be like, yeah, that works for everybody else, but I want to do something different. At the time, the word innovation just wasn't the word, but now that's the word I like to use, because if we don't push ourselves, I think, as a society in America, because I like America, you like America, like I don't want to leave. If we don't push people to be like, yo, try, it's okay to fail. If we instead say, oh, if you try and fail, you're stupid. That doesn't help, bro. That doesn't make anybody go forward.
And then we're making fun of people for trying to, like,
dude, that's the word.
Like, it's just so
when
dumb.
You're really a loser if you don't try, because what are you really doing? You're wasting time. And if you're wasting time, I mean, that's all we have at the end of the day. Money comes and goes, but when your clock is up, bro, it's over. All right, let's get into some ICT stuff. And then I got some couple like rapid fire questions we'll finish with. So how did you find ICT and what was your first opinion of it?
Good question. So I found ICT on YouTube. I think it was 2021 mentor. I think I found actually 2021 mentorship first and then 2022 later. Initial thoughts was a little skeptical. I was like, why is this guy yelling? What is this schizo saying right now? But I found so much enjoyment listening to it, dude. I love him when he starts screaming and ranting. It's hilarious.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do, bro. He's very popular.
Yeah, I enjoy it. But I started to learn it, and I think it wasn't until like I actually started implementing it that you could actually start seeing. Because everybody that doesn't like ICT they'll see it and they'll be like, "Oh, this is bullshit," but they never actually take the time to like actually look for it and learn the concepts and see it firsthand. After 3 months of learning ICT, I could never see the market in any other way besides that. Like it was, and I think one of the biggest reasons too of why I liked it and why it fit me so well is throughout my entire journey, I was looking for an answer as to why. Like, okay, the supply and demand or support and resistance. Okay, why does it work? Oh, well, there's this thing, it bounces here. Okay, what the fuck? With ICT, there's a reason in which why these concepts work, right? There's an algorithm built in the marketplace. It's hunting some sort of liquidity where price is going to rebalance, right? There's a concept in which these are actually working. And then seeing it happen firsthand is completely eye-opening. And then seeing it happen over and over and over and over again, it's like you can't deny it.
No, it's well said. So when you originally started studying it, how did you squash the skepticism? Was it because you started trading it right away? Like, was this the first strategy you tried to learn?
No, in my trading career, no.
Yeah. No.
No,
Okay. So you had already done some learning. You already were
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, this other stuff's not working. Let's try this. And you probably
Exactly.
saw how popular he was getting. Now, do all ICT guys trade the same way? Like, when you hang out with Jesse in Miami, do you guys see the same setups relative?
Similar, but also different. So
Okay.
one thing that I love about ICT in the concepts is the market is completely fractal, like completely fractal. It is models inside of models inside of models. So
Sure.
if you can have some sort of bias on a bigger time frame, whether that be a 1 hour, a 15-minute, a daily, whatever that is, you can continue to see that exact same bias the more zoomed in you get. It's like a square, right? If you're gonna take a square and you take a corner of that square, and then you take a corner of that square, and then take a corner of square, every square is still a square. It's the
Sure.
same thing with the market. You continue to zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, and it's the exact same thing over and over again in which you can form a bias. So it's overlapping those biases depending on wherever the market is drawing towards. So if we have some sort of, recent low on the market and we've rebalanced and I'm looking for, rejection, whatever, I zoom in and I look for the exact same thing. I'm looking for a stop rate in the opposite direction. I'm looking for liquidity to be generated into the marketplace. I'm looking for a displacement, whatever it is. And it gives me the opportunity and a bias in which I can rely on because I've seen it happen so many times.
Interesting. So what would be your advice then to some of the guys that are newer to ICT? Because bro, I mean, it's now become a word that an acronym, I guess,
Yeah.
whatever, that comes out of my mouth every week. I have guys in our
Yeah.
I have probably one of the guys in my mentorship. He's on Top Step TV actually a little bit now. His name is Zach. He's up like 15-ish, maybe $20,000 already this year in payouts. So it's a pretty good year so far for him. But he trades ICT. He trades nothing like how I trade. And he's in my mentorship group. He's been with me for like 6-7 months. He just keeps paying to stay because he's doing well. So like I hear this all the time and I see guys trading it getting paid out. So here's my two questions. What would be your advice to the newer ICT guy? What should they be paying attention to or following more? And then my second question is, why are there so many subscribers of ICT, but not as many profitable traders as maybe subscribers? And maybe that might be just because trading is hard, but I'm curious to just hear your answer on that.
So first question, what I recommend is number one, 2022. I think a lot of people always say like, go to the 2022 ICT mentorship. I agree with that. But a lot of the time people don't realize that the ICT 2022 mentorship is meant to make you not want to learn it. Like Michael does such a great job at teaching and making you want to fall asleep. Like it's fucking history class, like in high school. Like it is so boring that so many people stop. And that's again also leads into the second question, where it's like, why do people aren't successful? It's because they get bored so easily. Like they don't want to get past the boredom of it.
Makes
And
sense.
I think there's a lot of people that honestly, it's kind of hard for me to say. Like, I don't think that people teach it necessarily better than Michael, but I think the way that Michael teaches is very specific for him because he wants to hide little things in the mentorship. So for specific ICT concepts, what I recommend people do is draw on liquidity is the overarching concept of ICT.
Right.
That is the most important thing, where you have to figure out wherever the market is drawing towards. That needs to be your main focus. I think a lot of people get overanalyzed when they get in ICT because there's so many different things.
Sure.
Focus on one thing, learn it for a week, recognize it for a week, trade for a week. And I'm not saying trade like an actual trade, but go into the market, watch the market, and just test ideas. Say, hey, I think we're going to this high because of this, or I think the market's drawing towards here. And just continue to watch, journal it, and then learn some other things. Okay, I'm going to learn, fair value gaps. I'm going to see, okay, what fair value gaps are getting respected, which ones are getting disrespected. Why is that? Where do I think the market's drawing towards, right? And then continue to add things on, market maker models, SMTs, whatever it is, macros, and then slowly start to, add more concepts until it then becomes one overarching tool, right? And they're all just different convictions that you add to one specific strategy. Because ICT is one of the best ways to it's malleable. It's very malleable to whatever the trader is. So that's why, like I said, so many different ICT traders will trade different setups because it's so malleable. It's just a way of viewing price action. That's all it is. It's just a way of viewing price action. So many different traders are going to take different trades based off of it.
It's a good answer, and it does make sense that it almost puts people to sleep. Why didn't ICT enter the Robbins Cup? What do you think? What's up? Because he was beefing on Twitter that he said he was going to do it. Him and Patrick Wheeler, him and
oh my god.
What do you think of all this, bro? Do you think he just stirs it up because he needs the drama, like the attention? Like I don't think he needs the attention anymore. He has enough successful people that give him credit. Like why does he even deal with these? You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on this?
If I'm being completely honest,
yes, break it. Come on.
I think he's insecure.
I
think he's. Look at the way he fucking acts on lives. Like he's
and even the way he talks,
bipolar.
I can hear that in his voice.
This is no disrespect to
no, not at all.
But he is absolutely completely bipolar. He's admitted it on live. He's talked about fucking curb stomping people out like on Twitter lives. Like he gets extremely emotional. He's called out people before. And we're surprised that he's being like, oh, you fucking pussy, watch me get first place. Like, all right. Like, I just sit here with my hands up, like Michael's freaking out again.
Michael's going off again.
Yeah, Michael's going crazy. I mean, that's just how I don't think like do I think he's going to win? Probably not. No. Do I want him to win? Sure. But I don't.
It doesn't make it ain't gonna make you or me any more or less money, bro. Do you believe the story that he was really kidnapped by the market makers, or do you think it's a marketing?
Fuck no.
No way. Okay, good. I'm glad you're smarter than that, Justin. Yeah. But you know what? It is really good for clicks and it does him well.
Yeah.
All right. So let me hit you with some rapid.
There's a lot of ICT dick riders too. So.
Oh my God, bro. I mean, but that's in anything, right? Like that's how you're gonna have ban and like the cult of ICT is what we call it, right? Like that. If you talk shit. If even if they internalize us in this episode talking shit right now, they're going to come after us and they're going to be like, don't speak on him like that. It's like, all right, dude, relax.
And also there's so many ICT traders too that are like, this is the only way. Like anybody that trades any other concepts, like you're fucking wrong. Like all this shit. I'm like, I can't it's a strategy. Like I'm so grateful to ICT. That's what I trade. And like, I'm very successful from it, but it's not that big of a deal.
Guys like you would have figured out no matter what ICT, whatever it is, like they would have figured out a way to become a successful trader. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that's true no matter what. Cause before ICT, people were making money trading. Like this isn't that new. Right.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you, when I've talked to like Chris Cady, who a guy was trading futures in the S&P pit the day they started, bro, Linda Raschke, she's been trading futures since they start. They will tell you similar terminology that ICT uses without ever, they don't, they're older people. They don't know what an ICT is, right? They have no idea, but they'll talk about market profile. They're talking about premiums and discounts. They talk about liquidity. Like it's the same stuff, just repackaged in a way that's very understandable. And like you said already, it gives you a reason for why the market is doing what it's doing, which makes you believe it even more. So I get why it's popular. So, all right, let's do some rapid fire. You ready?
Yeah.
Favorite trading book?
I'll just say Trading in the Zone. It's a easy.
No, come on. I'm not letting you off with that. No,
I'll be completely honest. That's the only trading book I've read.
There's the real answer.
Yeah,
okay, that's good.
That's the only trading book I've read.
How about favorite trader online to follow and watch their journey other than ICT stuff? Do you have anybody that you love watching and that you connect with online?
I mean, when I first started, I think one of the goats is Umar. So yeah.
Shout out to Umar.
I mean, he's kind of really, and I think Umar as well was really the only person at that time when I first started trading that was like actually preaching like good habits and like
still is.
You should be trading. Exactly. Yeah.
Shout out TradeZella, bro. We love TradeZella on the channel. Shout out Umar. I mean, dude, young dude, employs his family, has a great fucking
I know.
business, right?
Great
And
guy.
he can
Very
trade.
respectful. I respect him
Very
so much.
respectful. 100%. Doesn't do drama, takes care of people. Like he
Yep.
does everything the right way.
Yep.
So shout out to Umar. All right. Favorite trading book we did. Favorite trader we did. How about your guilty pleasure with your trading profits? What is you? I mean, we know you like to game, but what else do you
Mhm.
like to spend some money on?
There's a couple things. I mean,
All right, hit
traveling.
us. Yeah.
Love
You were just
traveling.
in Sardinia, bro.
Yep.
That's
Just in
awesome.
Sardinia. I was just in Miami.
Yeah.
I collect old French posters. I'm
Okay.
very art guy. So
That's
if you can
cool.
see that one right there, that's a
Yeah.
original Capiello, who's an artist. So when I was in Paris, my family's been going to this this poster shop for like the last 25 years. And it's all original prints of advertisements in like early 20s to early 1900s, of artists that would, be hired to do advertisements for companies. And
Really?
they would create specified pieces that would be hung up on the walls of Paris, and they're all originals. Like I have this one above my desk. This is a Monopoly one. It's kind of bad
Oh, that's
lighting, but
so cool.
yeah, yeah, all old French like antique
Interesting, bro.
posters. Yeah.
That is so cool. And anytime an American talks to another American about, oh, when I was in France, it sounds so distinguished, bro. It
I
makes
know,
me
I know.
it makes me feel like, oh man, I'm just a fucking
I know.
Florida boy hanging
I
out
sound
playing
like a
golf with the
rich, like,
Gators.
oh, let me
You
see.
do. Oh, when I was in Paris with the
Oh,
family, picking up the posters. Right, exactly, bro. Exactly. That's awesome. That's super cool. So, how was Sardinia? Because I'm taking my family to Italy this summer. We're gonna do Rome, and we're
Yeah,
probably gonna do Venice. But Sardinia, I know, has got that same
yeah.
Mediterranean vibe. What brought you out there? You got family there, friends there, or you just wanted to see
No,
it?
I literally went by myself for a week.
I saw
Like
that.
I love Sardinia. So I went when I've only been one time before. I was probably like 10 years old. I think it was like
Okay,
for my brother's birthday.
cool.
But I always had good memories about it. And at the time it's been cold in Idaho, and I was like, I need beachy kind of vibes. And I just went on Airbnb, and I was like, I found a house, and I was like, oh, I want this house. Like, I just want to wake up every morning and like just sit out here and fucking read and trade and just vibe out. And I was just use it as my office for the week. And that's again freedom that I love trading.
Yeah,
And I just sent it and I went for a week, and it
that's
was
awesome.
fantastic.
My brother-in-law just did that, bro. Took a trip by himself, went to Bonaire and did some scuba
Yeah.
diving. I'm next on the list for that. I have not done that yet since I had my
Highly
kid.
okay,
Yeah,
like, big highly recommend for anybody who's young, take solo trips.
yeah,
Solo trips are so good for you. You
yeah.
learn so much about yourself. You become so much more comfortable being alone, traveling, experiencing things because, like, no one else is there, to fucking take care of you. You're in a foreign country where nobody speaks English and you're alone, like, you gotta figure that shit out, and it's very empowering. You learn so much more about yourself, and I highly recommend taking solo
I'll
trips.
take you. I'll one up you and say, do it without a credit card. Good luck.
Yeah,
Right.
let me drop you off in Hong Kong without any sort
Right,
of ID,
and
no
see how
money.
you do. But you
Let's
know what?
send you
Back
off
in the
on your
day, bro,
way.
that's what they did. You know what I mean? There weren't credit cards back now.
I
Dude, we
know.
went to Tulum a couple years ago for New Year's Eve,
Yeah.
and I booked the Airbnb for January 31st, not December 31st. So we got there,
Oh
bro, and had
my
nowhere to stay. But in my head, I was like, credit card solves everything, bro. I didn't sweat it for a second. We found a place that day. It was
Yeah,
okay
exactly,
because of
that
the
would have
credit
been
card.
tragic.
Oh, dude, it would have been awful. And I normally am good, but I might have been a little stoned when I booked that and screwed that one up. But it's okay. It's okay. We live for
It
another
happens, it
day.
happens.
It happens. Dude, this has been awesome. I think we touched on a lot of great stuff. I got a ton of notes here, so I think the audience is
It's
gonna
been
love this.
great.
I'm gonna push you, bro. We might have to do a part two in the next couple of months. If you're in
We
Miami, I
should.
don't mind flying over because I'm in Tampa.
Dude,
I'm
let's do it.
45 minutes on the flight. I can be there.
Yeah.
And when I did those other podcasts, when I did Jesse's, I did went
Mhm.
back when did it came home the same day. It's 45 minutes. It's easy. So
Dude, that's
I
sick.
think we'll definitely have to do that. I got a good studio there. We could
Absolutely.
sit down and crank out another one. And maybe I think in the second one, I'd like to get more into your mindset a little because I think we touched a
Yeah.
lot on psychology topics and we got your take on things. But I'd like to chop it up a little bit
Get in
more
the
on that too.
nitty-gritty.
Get
I
in the
love
nitty gritty a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you're a cool dude, Justin. I really
You
appreciate the
as well,
time. Where
buddy.
can everybody connect you, bro? Do we want to send them to Instagram? Where do we want to send them?
Whatever, Justin Werlein on pretty much everything.
Cool.
Instagram, YouTube.
What's your heritage, Justin? What's that Werlein? Is that European? It sounds
It's
European.
German. It's
German.
pronounced in German, it's pronounced Werlein.
Werlein. Yeah,
Yeah.
Werlein. Yeah, nice. Very cool. All right. We'll put a pin in it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. If you stayed all the way through, we really appreciate you. Make sure you check out Justin's link down below. Follow him. Stay connected with the boy. He's going to be in Miami. Are you moving to Miami? Is that the move?
I think I'm moving to Scottsdale, honestly.
Okay.
I'm going
Way
to
better
Scottsdale.
choice.
We'll see. I
Way
agree.
better
I
choice.
agree.
Way better.
Yeah.
Yeah. for a million fucking reasons. So everybody connect with Justin. Make sure you stay up with him. Great trader, great dude. Justin, bro, thank you. This has been amazing. I'm glad that we got to connect and get this done. And everybody listen, make sure you check out Justin. He actually will be trading sometimes on Top Step TV. So make sure you tune in if you see him on the schedule. I always make sure to tune in when Justin's there. It's bro, but they screwed you on that.
They screwed me on the last
Andre
one.
and Dolby, bro.
That, dude? They fucked me
I
so
did see
hard.
they fucked you so. And I told him I was having you on the podcast, and they were like, ask him our names on the podcast. I'm like, dude, you think he's gonna mess up your names ever again? I said, Justin's coming on next time with an Andre and Dolby t-shirt.
Yeah,
literally. You fucking roasted him at the end. I'm like,
dude.
don't do the boy like that, bro.
Yeah,
that was so funny, dude. So funny. All right. Thank you, Justin. Have a good rest of your day, brother. Listeners, thank you very much. Stay subscribed. We'll see you in the next one.